Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Disneyland. We are here on a new server. Well, not a new server. The server's been around for a while, but this is the first time we're showing it off on the channel here today. I'm sort of getting back into the swing of things. I haven't recorded for a while. I've been on vacation, but we're here on a Disneyland server called Haxiclesticks. Now, Haxiclesticks is a server that a lot of people have recommended. I've actually visited it before, but I thought it was still heavily under construction, and so it wasn't ready to show off yet. But you know, the owner of the server, GamerCam, reached out to me, and it seems like a lot of it has been put together. So I would like to just walk around and explore it at a day in the parks. Now, the really interesting thing about Haxiclesticks, we'll walk around here, is that this is a Disneyland server. That's not the interesting part. I mean, there are a lot of Disneyland servers. What's interesting is this is a Disneyland server built by one single person. That's right. GamerKM, the owner of the server, is the sole builder of this server. So everything you're going to see today was made by one person. And it comes along with a texture pack. It comes with sounds. I turned off the music, but there's music streaming. You know, it's got all of the sort of basic core not requirements, but the core elements you see in a Disney server today. So we're going to explore it a bit. It's obviously different in scale and detail than other Disney servers, but again, keep in mind that context, that this is a server made by one single person. Now, I don't know how much tools were used for it. I would imagine a lot. I'd imagine with any sort of server building, you have to use some building tools. You can't just do it block by block. I mean, maybe there are people out there, but that'd be crazy to me. There's so many blocks involved in a build like this. But we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna wander down Main Street, we're gonna see what rides are open, what's under construction, and just explore it a little bit. And I guess what I'll talk about today while we explore is, I guess, the vacation I just got back from, because it's the first vacation I've had in a while that is completely unrelated to Disney. My father turned 60. It's his birthday this month, and you know, we were trying to think of what to do, my sister and I, for his 60th birthday. You know, we thought maybe throw a big party, but he's not a big party guy, and we thought, you know what, we haven't done like a family vacation in a while, so why don't we plan and take him on vacation? And he's always wanted to see the Grand Canyon. That was on like his bucket list. So we did a trip where we went to the Grand Canyon, we went to Las Vegas, and then we went to Phoenix to round out the trip. And so I just got back from that. It was a really interesting. I've never been out there in my life before. Oh, wow. And the reason I'm going to talk about it is because it actually does tie back into Disney a little bit. Now, this is Disneyland, so I was thrown off a little bit by seeing Astro Orbiter way up front, but that's where it is in Disneyland. And there you've got the Matterhorn. And again, one person built all this. Like, sure, I'd say the fidelity of the building isn't as high as what you'd see on like an MC Magic or an MC Parks or an MC Amusement, but like the scale is there. You know, it is large scale. It is covering, like, just look at that Matterhorn. I could not build that Matterhorn on my own. I've tried to do it, but my best attempt at building a Disney attraction was when I tried to do Horizons, and I got the outer shell of the building done, which took forever. And even then, I didn't even know where to begin when it came to the actual ride mechanic. Anyway, back to the topic. Grand Canyon, by the way, amazing. If you ever have the opportunity to go, it is awe-inspiring. You know, you can look at photos of the Grand Canyon, but you really, truly can't fathom the scale of a place like the Grand Canyon until you're there in person. So, oh, look at that. It's got the Star Tours music. I thought I turned music off. I don't know how he did that. Oh, this is cool. Oh, it's got such an 80s like vibe to it. I never went on to Star Tours in California because we figured this was one of the rides that was probably similar in both. But look, he's got the animated armor stands. This is so cool.
How are you? You look familiar to me. Have I scanned you somewhere before?
Oh, that sounds like Patrick Warburton. Is that you're Patrick Warburton, aren't you?
Good. Check.
We'll finish our Grand Canyon Vegas talk after this ride.
Keep moving.
Okay, so it turns out Star Tours was still one of the work-in-progress attractions, so it sort of ended at the end of the queue. So we're back here at the hub. We're going to go in the other direction. We're going to head on over to, I think, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I imagine the roller coasters are like quicker to put up because, you know, roller coasters are a lot less technically sophisticated compared to something like a Star Tours. Anyway, to go back to that other story and to tie it back into Disney without rambling too much, is we did spend a couple of days in Vegas, and I love Disney, and I still love Disney, so don't take what I'm about to say as the wrong way. But I feel like my time in Vegas has made me understand for the first time what people who don't like Disney what they're feeling when they talk about not liking Disney for feeling like too fake or too manufactured, because I did not like Las Vegas like at all. I was not a fan of Vegas. And I think that was part of it. You know, it's funny, we spent a couple of days there, and I just spent like that first night, like I knew I didn't like it, and I couldn't put my finger on why, and so I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out like what it was about Las Vegas that I didn't really dig. And I think for me, what it ended up being was, you know, it was a city built on borrowed culture, which is to say, you look at some of these buildings and you've got like the mock-up of the Eiffel Tower and the mock-up of New York City, and you've got, you know, all these hotels that borrow from like Roman architecture, and it's just like, it seems like every casino there wanted to take the ideas of past cultures and use it, but it didn't have it on its own. And I guess that's what Disney does to a certain extent, right? Like here we are on the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and we're gonna ride it, and it's fun. But like Disney itself inherently doesn't have this like Western history. It's just taking that Western history and using it for its theme parks. And again, I love the Disney parks. I think what it does well is that it takes that culture and uses it in a very not only classy but respectful and detailed way, in a way that Las Vegas doesn't do. Like, I think Vegas is tacky. It's like, the way I summed it up is Las Vegas is what would happen if you took Disneyland and you made it for just adults and you made it really, really tacky, because the city's super tacky. But it just gave me that insight where like I could understand for the first time what it felt like to not like that sort of manufactured feeling, which is, you know, something I've always recognized in Disney, but I liked it in Disney, and I still do like it in Disney. And so it is interesting, you know, my first trip away from Disney in quite a while, and yet I was still thinking about it a lot in the context of what we were doing. Now, this is cool, and I really like this idea, because I don't know if many of the other parks does this, but rather than being cute, like ride music, it's the ride ambience of people screaming. That's really awesome. Again, one person made all of this. Very impressive. And just to clarify on the Vegas bit, because now that I'm thinking about it, it just sounds like I'm like too whiny, where I'm just like, ooh, it's borrowed culture. It sounds like such an internet thing to complain about, as if like you can't borrow culture. But like, I guess my complaint with Vegas was not that it borrowed culture from all these different places for these different casinos. It's that it just didn't do it well. Like, okay, cool, make like an Egyptian themed place, but like, do it right. And I don't think any of these places, you know, granted, I didn't go into every casino, but I think all the ones I went into, they just didn't do it well. Whereas you look at Disney and you go, wow, they nailed it. And it's funny because I'm reading a book series on Disney history that I'm probably going to cover next month with the book reviews, that looks at not Disney's history, but looks at the history of what Disney is recreating and borrowing for its attractions. So, you know, for instance, Pirates of the Caribbean, it'll, you know, go through what the ride entails, but then it will go into the history of like piracy in the Caribbean and try and show how accurate or inaccurate Disney was in recreating that. And it's a theme park, so obviously there are a lot of instances where it didn't recreate it accurately, but you can still see that it tried to sort of faithfully take these elements of design and architecture and costuming and everything from that era and use it in a way that tells the story well. And that's something you always see with Disney, because it's this one company with this unified vision. and I just didn't see at all in Las Vegas. And hey, I mean, look, tons of people go to Vegas. Clearly, whatever they're doing works. But I was just not a huge fan. It made me want to go back to Disney, oddly enough. It also didn't help that my buddy Keith Lappenegg, who, if you don't watch his channel, you should. He's a great Disney YouTuber. He was doing my dream Disney vacation. He had planned the same trip that I wanted to do later next year, which is he went and he hopped from Disneyland Shanghai, or Disney Shanghai, Shanghai Disney, to Hong Kong Disneyland, to Tokyo Disney. And he's just doing the whole, like, all three of the Asian Disneys, and I totally want to do that. And so I was jealous. I was, like, looking at all these Instagram and tweets, and I was like, oh, man, I wish I was doing that instead of being in Vegas, losing money. I didn't lose too much money. I guess the best thing I got out of Vegas was the knowledge that I am not addicted to gambling, because once I lost, like, 20 or 40 bucks, I was like, all right, I'm done. I don't need to do that anymore, and so I didn't. So that was nice. But Grand Canyon, 100%. Suggest anybody you should go without a doubt go see the Grand Canyon. It's amazing, and it gives me a new appreciation of rides like this, where you see these like mesas and this desert, you know, sort of like this desert climate, because now I've gotten to see it in person, and it is super awe-inspiring. And it gave me a little bit more of appreciation of vacationing outside of theme parks. I think I went to theme parks so often as a vacation that the idea of vacationing elsewhere just seemed weird to me, because I just didn't understand, like what do you do? What do you do when you go vacation? Like, people say, oh, go to Europe, go vacation in Italy. But, like, what do you do in Italy? Like, besides eat and look at old buildings, like, what do you do? And now I kind of get it. You know, there is a lot of fun to that. We got the Skyway here. Is the Skyway still up in Disneyland? I honestly don't remember. No, I don't think it is, right? Is this like an older version of Disneyland? Because this is towards the back of Fantasyland, right? This is where the train ride is. Yeah, there was no Skyway there. At least I don't remember there being one. I'm sure they took it out. Yeah, because it went through the Matterhorn, and then they took it down. What am I? You're crazy, Rob. Been away from Disney so long, you've forgotten all these things. You got Dumbo there. I'm just so blown away that this is. And this is the sort of thing where, you know, I think it was smart that he picked Disneyland, because you've got the one park rather than Disney World, where you've got the 4 and the water parks. And so, you know, once he completes everything, you could just go back and add more details and reiterate and sort of put more and more into it. From what I remember reading, the server was started back in 2011. So this is 5 years in the making. Really impressive. Like, just the Matterhorn, like Big Thunder Mountain, I would never be able to build that. That's incredible. This is so crazy. And then lastly, before we wrap up this week, I finally have remembered. I always promised I would throw out questions of the week, and I would want to talk about the answers on the show, and I kept forgetting, but this time I remembered. So in the last episode, we talked a little bit about Stitch's Great Escape closing and this rumor of it being a Wreck-It Ralph ride, and I want to know what people thought, and a lot of varying opinions all over the place. You know, we've got RandomEd787 says VR would be just a cop-out to me and it avoids using practical effects. Something I kind of agree with. I kind of want to see more practical stuff. I think that's what makes Disney more Disney, you know? Spencer Fleming says they should make a new Lilo and Stitch attraction. Nicholas McNeil says they should bring back Alien Encounter, but it's probably not going to happen. I agree, probably not. But just earlier this week, I did a video on the history of Alien Encounter, and having researched for that, it made me really wish I got to ride it. I never did. Volt Switch 97 points out that the area is way too small to put anything in there. And that is a good point. You know, Stitch's, that footprint is pretty small. You know, it was always a theatrical experience. But I remember there are 2 gift shops next to it. So I always wondered, what if Disney knocked down those gift shops and combined all 3 areas and made one bigger space to put some sort of ride in there? But I don't know. That's a lot more technical and outside of my scope. Ragnarok Production says, if it is replaced, I hope it's Guardians of the Galaxy, not Candy Crush. They need to stay with the Space Future theme. They could do a prison break scene for Guardians of the Galaxy. That's an interesting concept. Though I I don't know. I have torn feelings on where I think Tomorrowland should go, and maybe that's a subject of a whole other video in the future because I need to really like put my thoughts together on that. Brian Brunel says, if it turns into a VR thing, I'm also against it. Remember Disney Quest Aladdin Magic Carpet? It was a terrible attraction, even though the VR was way ahead of its time, but it was horrible. We've got, let's see. Oh, there was this great one here. eCool Film says, I have a theory about the headset. It'll probably be attached to the over-the-head restraints. They already stop at the shoulders and should obstruct your view, so you wouldn't have that same... So it wouldn't maybe be like VR in the way the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive is, where you're, you know, putting it right on your face, but maybe some sort of screen in front of your head. Day and Night Gaming says, I'm pretty happy Stitch's Great Escape is now seasonal. Not a lot of love for Stitch. That was sort of expected. Let's see. We have Enrique Cortez who says, at the very least, Stitch has enough space to make pizzas. That's what happened with Flight to the Moon and Mission to Mars at Disneyland. That is true. I know they originally wanted to put extraterrestrial alien encounter in Disneyland, but they ended up not doing it. I think it was budgetary reasons. There is a whole, actually in my research of that ride, I discovered the plans for what was going to be called Tomorrowland 2055, and it got scrapped, and it sounded like a really cool idea. And so I might do a video in the future all about that and what it was, because just conceptually it sounded really awesome. And then you've got 84 Weber who says, I feel like Disney should still keep a Lilo and Stitch attraction in the parks. It doesn't have to be Stitch's Great Escape. Also, if they use VR headsets, I would be grossed out as well. I'd rather save the money to get my own. Yeah, that's an issue I think that they'd run into. Is just like, VR is going to be something that everyone will be able to have in their own experience. I was wondering, maybe what if you flipped it around? You know, Lilo and Stitch is obviously an alien, and so he's in Tomorrowland. But at the same time, Lilo was from Hawaii or the Pacific, and what if you made a Lilo and Stitch ride and you put it in Adventureland? Sort of go with the tiki theme, right? I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, thank you all for those answers, and I love the discussion going on. For next week, how about this as a talking point? Because I was going off all about this, you know, Disney borrowing from these different sources and these different cultures and the way they do it really well and the way I thought Vegas didn't do it very well. What's your favorite theme in Disney? Whether it's Disney World, Disneyland, I don't necessarily mean an attraction, right? You could dislike an attraction but still like a theme. But Disney obviously draws from a lot of different cultures and histories. You've got, you know, even within each land, you know, even talking about Adventureland, you know, as I was reading about this in the book that I was talking about earlier, you know, that's one land that draws from so many different eras, whether it's, you know, the tiki, that sort of tiki era that became popular in the 40s and 50s in America, or just like the sort of colonization of South America and the Caribbean with, you know, your Pirates of the Caribbean, or you've got like the African jungle trek with sort of your Swiss Family Treehouse, and you've got the Jungle Cruise. So, you know, all these places draw from all these different inspirations, and it'd be interesting to hear what is everybody's favorite era. You know, the whole idea of Disney is you're being transported to another place, and so I would love to hear, where's your favorite place to be transported to through the parks? And again, I want to thank MK Gamer for creating a really like amazing, again, you know, as far as the servers go, yeah, sure, this might not be the most technically impressive or highly detailed, but for considering one person built this is truly incredible. The details on how to connect, if you want to check this out in person, this is open to the public, are in the description below. If you want to let me know your answer, you could do it in the comments below, or you could tweet it at me. I am at Rob Plays. If you want to see more Disney videos like this, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. I do 3 of these a week. If you want even more Disney content, me and Christine do a weekly podcast called the Tomorrowland Transit Authorities, where we talk mostly Disney news and our Disney trips and anything that sort of just doesn't fall within the realm of a video. You can find that on Google Play or on iTunes or on our website, ttapodcast.com. I want to thank you all for watching. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it, because it makes it that much better. And I hope to see you all next time for the next day in the parks. Bye, everybody. This week, we're taking a look at an attraction that many people have been asking for a long time, and I guess I've been a little bit of a tease for putting it off so long. It is a favorite at the Magic Kingdom. It is one of the mountains. It is one of the roller coasters. It is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.